Roll call, please.
Commissioner Abraham?
Present.
Commissioner Galt?
Present.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Here.
Commissioner Wilson?
Present.
Mayor Kaler?
Present. Tonight we have Pastor Charles Moore with First Baptist Church here to do our invocation. Thank you for being here. And then our Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Wilson, would you do that for us tonight?
It's a pleasure to be with you. Let us pray. Our Father, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for the change of seasons and the reminders everywhere we look of your sovereign and good care for us. This Veterans Day night, we are particularly grateful for our freedom. We thank you for the men and women who have made that possible for us. We are indebted and we are grateful. And we thank you for the privilege of living in this amazing city, in this wonderful place to call home. We thank you for the people who govern us, for their sacrifice, their service, for their gracious perspective on life and on leadership. And we pray for a wonderful evening of your wisdom to be visited upon each one of them, that they would lead well and that our city would advance and be the amazing place to live that we know it can be. Tonight, on her birthday, we thank you for Mayor Kaler and her excellent leadership. We pray for your blessings, whatever she may need, to be hers in abundance as you tonight are glorified even through all that happens here. We pray in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the
United States of America and to its republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Moore. Okay, City Manager, are there any additions or deletions?
There are none.
Okay. Tonight we have the American Red Cross here to do a presentation. If you'll come forward, please. Yes, yes. And the other day, when we were at the meeting for the warming center, we had a conversation about some changes that will be occurring with the Red Cross, and so I appreciate you coming tonight and talking to the commission.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Do I need to adjust the microphone at all? Is that okay? Mm-hmm. My understanding is 15 minutes, so I know Sandra's a great timekeeper. If it starts looking like we need to wrap it up, if you could let me know, please, I'd appreciate it. We're not here to take up too much of your time. We just want to make sure that you understand it's really some restructuring that's going on within the Red Cross as a national organization. It does change how things are going to function in all areas, especially from an internal perspective, more of the administrative and back office functions. But we're here to reassure you and address any questions you may have as far as how we will function within McCracken County and Paducah, especially in relation to disaster response. We're from the disaster services portion of Red Cross, American Red Cross. The blood services portion will continue to service the way they have up to this point as well. But within the structure, currently, as you know, the Paducah area chapter, they have been functioning to serve 3 counties, Ballard, Livingston, and McCracken. But they're going to be doing some restructuring in that it's going to serve 24 counties of western Kentucky. So that's how, from an administrative standpoint, it's going to function. So the staff will be shifting, some reductions within staff, and the continued reliance on volunteers to deliver the core services that we deliver. That's not going to change. Our core services are not going to change. In fact, they're going to increase. The amount we're going to be able to deliver to an emergency assistant client is going to be increasing. So the direct aid will go up in this process. Adrienne Wires, that's with me, is the disaster program manager. She was brought on less than a year ago to oversee all disaster functions within this part of the state. I've been serving as the executive director for the Paducah chapter only. I'll be shifting into what's called an interim role and the job has been reposted, so that job is posted and available for any qualified person to apply for, because the nature of the job is changing, that they can't really just transfer it directly over to somebody because the size of the territory, the population they're serving is different, so that requires a new posting of the job. So just so you understand, there won't be a gap in leadership, but there is a change in process coming. Am I making sense on that so far? Mm-hmm. Okay, great. What a lot of people don't understand is that the Red Cross, what we serve within disaster services are your larger scale disasters, of course, such as floods and tornadoes and those sorts of things. But our most common occurrence is house fires, and that's what our volunteers are responding to on a regular basis. And it's really important for government leaders to understand that Red Cross won't respond unless they've been asked to respond by fire chiefs or emergency management. Am I correct on that? Is there anything you want to add to that piece of it?
We just, whenever has been a home fire and the family is being forced out of their home because of the fire, or if they don't have food available, we go in to help them, to give them shelter and emergency needs, to at least get them through the first several days of that process. And that won't change at all.
Yeah. Now, that's in the instance of the smallest types of incidences, but when it goes up in scale, when I believe it's more than 4 families or more than 10 individuals become affected by an incident, then that could prompt opening a shelter of some sort. Now, the way Red Cross works is the local level response is always first, and the local level response always retains control. But as the incident gets larger in scale and scope, then it starts to get a response that starts out local, but then they'll start bringing in more resources and more aid and more assistance, start moving outward from counties out to the regional level, and our region will be the state of Kentucky. It was 2 regions. It'll now be 1 state region of Kentucky, centered from Louisville. That's where the main headquarters will be. And then if it actually required opening a larger relief operation, then that's when it would move into a division level and then a national level. So the bigger the incidents or the disaster, the larger the assistance will be, but it always starts at the local level, and the local level always retains, I don't want to use the word control, but for lack of a better word, that's where the control stays. So am I making sense on that as well? Because that's important for you to understand as well.
When we spoke that day, I think the main thing you wanted to get across to the public is that you'll be offering the same services. The location, though, is going to be changed. In other words, you won't have a physical presence here. Is that correct?
I wasn't sure at that time, but we will retain. They will retain a building here.
Okay. So that has changed.
There's no change slated for that whatsoever. But when I spoke to you, it was a little less clear, but that's been more clear.
So people would still contact you at this location?
Within this county, yeah. I mean, actually, when we're asked to respond to a disaster, whether it's a house fire or something larger, it goes through a fire chief or emergency management. It goes back to how Adrian responds. The phone number that goes to her is not a widely published number, but all the fire chiefs, emergency management have all been informed of who to call in those types of situations. We get many requests for aid that don't fall within the scope of our services, as all nonprofits do in this area. People coming in asking for there's a lot of need in the area, you all know that, and there's a lot of things that aren't within what we can provide, but we're certainly able to direct them to hopefully the best agency to serve their needs, and we do that regularly. We keep track of what we do, as a matter of fact, in that respect.
So if there's a house fire and there's a family displaced and you guys are on the scene and obviously can't stay in the house, you have folks on the ground, what happens to the family?
We will put them up in a hotel for several days.
How many?
Typically it's about 3.
Okay.
We will give them money for food. We will give them money for clothing. We will help in any way we can to get them towards that goal of finding a new residence. A lot of times it's harder because they're renting, and so then we have to work with the landlords to get them back their deposits and so on and so forth. But typically 3 nights in a hotel, And if it falls on an odd time zone, sometimes we can get them up to 5. It's just depending on what day of the week it's going to be.
Okay.
It starts out as a response effort, going in and immediately helping them through that first initial period where they're in a lot of shock. They've very often lost everything. Sometimes they have nothing but the clothes on their body. So they're very much in shock. So it's taking care of their immediate needs, and then we also kick in with some client care assistance and some mental health type processes as well.
So none of that will change?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No, because we still, the goal is to still have volunteers that are acting in every community, and community boards that work within every existing community as well.
So the blood service building stays active on Lone Oak Road?
We believe so, yeah. Now,
so?
the blood service, in some areas of the country, Red Cross is all in one building. In this area, it just so happens that the blood services works in a different building, and they're actually kind of headquartered out of Nashville, where we're headquartered out of Louisville. So we work in conjunction with each other, but not necessarily
So the
constant.
disaster service building stays, do you think it stays here, or?
Right, there's nothing slated for change anytime soon on that.
Thank you.
In my dream world, they'd get a new building in a couple years, but I'm not sure. We don't know on that one yet. That's a long way off. But volunteer leadership will be working to, over time, determine what the best use of all the buildings are, not only in McCracken County, but all the other counties that are going to become one territory as we move forward. So,
Okay.
any other questions at all?
How far with the 24 counties, so how far?
Goes all the way up towards Tell City, covers
Oh, okay.
Owensboro, and then goes all the way down through Todd County, south.
The counties that hit the far eastern edge, as I look at the map, are Hancock, Ohio, Muhlenberg, and Todd. So then it'll be those and everything clear over to the Tennessee,
Colorado.
Missouri, and Illinois borders. We're part of a division that encompasses 5 states. So we are Kentucky, I'm trying to look at a map. Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia, and Michigan are all our division. Within
So
our
the headquarters, so Paducah is sort of the headquarters of that 24 county?
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
We will be, absolutely. And we certainly are looking for more volunteer leadership to help us grow within that new structure as well. So if you know anybody that would love to get involved, we'd certainly welcome them within this process. But we really want you to understand the services will not change whatsoever.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Appreciate
giving
you
us the
coming.
time. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I guess when
Okay, I have a presentation that I would like to do tonight. So if Lisa Emmons will come forward. I have an award for you. I just want to say that Lisa Emmons goes above and beyond the call of duty when it comes to working with the city and with the county as well on so many of our, especially our economic development projects. So I wanted to honor Lisa tonight with the Duchess of Paducah.
Thank you, I am so honored.
I hereby confer, come on over here. I hereby confer this honor with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto appertaining. In testimony whereof, I have caused these letters to be made patent, and the seal of the city to be hereunto affixed, done at Paducah the 11th day of November in the year of our Lord 2014, Gail Kaler, Mayor. So
Thank you very much. I had
We do-
no idea.
we do appreciate
Thank you.
you
I
so
appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a nice honor, and I appreciate it very much. So I hope that I can continue to bring progress and economic development of this issue.
We do
That's
too.
very-
Thank you.
Thank you.
we do too.
Okay, Commissioner Abraham, please, with the minutes.
I move that the reading of the minutes for October 28, 2014 City Commission meeting be waived, and that the minutes of said meetings prepared by the city clerk be approved as written.
Second.
City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Kaler.
Aye. We'll go on to our motions. Commissioner Galt, please.
I move that the following documents be received and filed.
Second.
Documents: certificates of liability insurance, Tri-State Fire Protection, Inc., Premier Fire Protection, Inc., Luther Snow Concrete, Inc., Jim Steele Construction, Inc., Evergreen Funeral Services, LLC. Right-of-way bonds: Luther Snow Concrete, Inc., Circle P Enterprises, LLC, Commissioner's Deeds, 1242 North 12th Street, 1120 North 13th Street, and 1110 North 13th Street. Deed of conveyance with Elizabeth Crumball for 1036 Madison Street. Notice of cancellation for the Board of Commissioners of the City of Paducah for Tuesday, November 4th, 2014. Contracts and agreements. Contract with Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield for Strategic Health Risk Advisor and Strategic Benefit Placement Services. Aggregate stop loss insurance agreement with Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. Grant agreement between the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet Office of Highway Safety and the Paducah Police Department for the Heads Up, Don't Be Intoxicated program, $40,000. Grant agreement between the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet Office of Highway Safety and the Paducah Police Department for in-car video cameras and breathalyzer tests, $39,770. Community Development Block Grant agreement with the Department for Local Government for the Four Rivers Behavioral Health Center Point Recovery Center, $250,000. Memorandum of City of Paducah investments for first quarter of fiscal year 2015. Transit Authority of the City of Paducah financial statements with independent auditor's report for the year ended June 30th, 2014. Paducah Waterworks financial highlights for September 2014. And a proposal for Planning Department purchase of 427 North 6th Street, Robert Hopper and Brenda Hollis.
Second.
Okay. City Clerk.
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Galt? Aye. Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Kayler?
Aye. Okay, we'll go on to municipal orders. Commissioner Rhodes, please.
All right. Upon the recommendation of the city manager, the Board of Commissioners of the City of Paducah order that the personal changes on the attached list be approved.
Second.
Everybody okay with
Yeah.
personnel? City,
Yeah.
Yep, city manager.
I'd like to speak to one of these in particular tonight. Certainly, if you have questions on any other, we'll field those as well. But we are excited tonight to bring forward a recommendation for the filling of a department director position with the City of Paducah. A couple months ago, Cindy Medford, our HR risk management director, resigned, and the process began immediately to recruit our next HR director. I impaneled a group of 5 people to conduct this, consisting of myself, Jonathan Perkins, Mark Thompson, Chief Brandon Barnhill, and Steve Doolittle. A national search was conducted after an extensive amount of time was spent putting together a profile, tightening up the job description, and those sort of things. We attracted over 40 candidates for the position, which was a pretty good number, I think. Subsequently, a very comprehensive screening and selection process took place, resulting in the recommendation before you tonight to approve the hiring of Mr. Levi Lovercamp for the position of HR Director. Levi Lovercamp is from and was raised in Metropolis, Massac County area of Southern Illinois. Graduated from high school there, whereupon he entered Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, where he obtained his bachelor's degree in political science. During college, he applied and was one of 50 college students accepted into a governor's office program to receive internships in Illinois state government, which became a full-time job for him with the Illinois Department of Human Services. While there, he worked on the expansion of the Medicaid program and also programmed to house refugees from the Katrina hurricane disaster. After nearly 2 years there, he accepted an opportunity to come back to the Paducah area in the position of Director of Human Resources for Life Care Center of America, the Parkview Nursing Home in Paducah. At Parkview, he is responsible for the oversight and administration of all human resources and risk management functions for a employee group of approximately 290 people. He proudly reports that under his leadership there, employee turnover was reduced by 30%. After more than 2.5 years at Parkview, Levi was recruited away by Lourdes Hospital in Paducah. He is currently the Director of Human Resources there. For the past 4 years, his day-to-day responsibilities at Lourdes have covered all facets of HR, for a diverse workforce of approximately 1,700 employees. And I emphasize the word diverse workforce because our workforce is certainly diverse in terms of the different occupational groups within city government. He provided management responsibility for all HR functions there, including direct supervision of 7 employees, management of the benefit program, the occupational health and employee wellness programs, overseeing employee recruitment and retention, designing compensation programs, participating in budgeting and organizational planning, leading regulatory and accrediting activities, among other things. Levi has expressed a very strong interest in returning to government, which is appealing for sure, that he has a desire to work within local government and bring his human resources experience to this setting. He feels that this opportunity will allow him to more fully utilize his training and provide him a career path back to government. Levi, his wife, and 2 children reside in the Reedland community of McCracken County. So Steve Doolittle is here to bring Mr. Leverkamp forward and introduce him to the City Commission, whereupon you may ask him any questions you might have.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hi.
Not everybody at once.
Well, tell us why you're excited about working for us.
So I'm
and the
not
citizens of
a
Paducah.
native of Paducah, as you heard, but I guess growing up in the area, the cultural mecca for all of us in the area was always Paducah. And I can remember going to the Columbia as a child, and that's but one snippet of what I hope to see come back to Paducah. And I'm not good at being out in the face and doing that work. We'll leave that to guys like Steve. But if I can be in a support role and help carry forth and move the city forward to what I know it has the potential to be, then I'm ever excited to be a part of that. So I welcome the opportunity and the challenges that lie ahead.
Thank you. Good answer.
That's right.
Upon your approval, Levi still owes Lourdes a month. So pending your approval, his arrival here would be mid-December.
Okay.
And Doolittle will remain in place as acting until then. Again, we want to recognize and thank Steve for all his work and oversight of this department during this interim period of time, as well as his role in this process, which he coordinated.
Welcome.
Welcome.
He'll miss open enrollment, so all the work for enrollment will be done by the time he gets aboard.
I'm experiencing it elsewhere, so don't think I'm missing out on that opportunity.
Well, and then there'll be next year. So
There will always be next year.
well, welcome,
Thank you.
and we look forward to having you here in that role with the city. It's a very important role,
Absolutely.
and I think you'll do a great job.
I'm excited to be a part of it, so if I can ever be of any service support to the commission, feel free to reach
We
out.
always need cheerleaders.
Behind the scenes. No
We
skirt
always
or
say we don't talk about our successes enough and the good things going on.
And I hope to be a part of that and highlight the successes of our workforce, by extension, the commission. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Kaler.
Aye. Okay, Commissioner Wilson, please.
I move that a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Approving the Sale of Real Property Located at 427 North 6th Street in the amount of $200 to Robert Hopper and Brenda Hollis" be adopted.
Second.
Hi, Steve.
Good evening. One of our last few remaining lots in Lower Town. Mr. Hopper is here if you have any questions. And he is planning, I don't think you got this, but planning on building the Strathmore house, which has been designed locally. I think it'll fit in nicely. After approval, with approval tonight, he still has to go before the Historical and Architecture Review Commission to get approval for the design. But
That's
Mr.
where the
Hopper's-
White House used to be.
I'm sorry? Yes,
White House.
that's correct.
Great. That'd be great to have a brand new house on that block too.
It's always nice.
Yeah. Right. Any questions? Okay. City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes,
I'm going to vote aye, but just so you know, Bob is a friend of mine, so just saying. He's a friend, but I'm going to vote yes.
Commissioner Wilson?
He's a friend of mine. I'm going to vote yes.
Well, just.
Well, he's a friend of mine, too.
I was going to say, wait, do you think he's not ours?
No, but.
So I'm going to vote yes, too.
I just.
You open it up. Yes.
Okay, a friend of, an FOB, a friend of Bob. All right.
Now you got me speculating.
Yeah, I know. It's bizarre.
Well, Bob and I went to high school together.
I didn't go to high school.
Already voted yes.
Vote
It's
against
good.
him because of that?
And well, what I was worried about is that, and Bob accused me that I stole his girlfriend in our senior of college.
Ooh, yeah. Well, that's between you and Bob.
Anyway.
Y'all can work that
Didn't have
out.
anything to do with the house.
No, nothing with the house. Nothing. All right, sorry.
All right. Ordinances introduction. Commissioner Abraham, please.
Okay. I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance repealing ordinance number 2013-68042 and adopting the City of Paducah, Kentucky revised annual budget for the fiscal year July 1st, 2013 through June 30th, 2014 by estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operation of city government. This ordinance is summarized as follows. The City of Paducah repeals ordinance number 2013-68042 that estimated revenues and resources and appropriated funds for fiscal year 2014 and adopts a revised budget for fiscal year 2014 that reflects all adjustments made throughout the fiscal year and any adjustments required by independent financial auditors. The appropriations of city government for a total of $79,667,455 and summarized by funds as follows. General fund, $31,869,360. Small grants, $21,500. MAP, $1,521,210. Investments, $5,306,230. CDBG, $878,815. Home, $468,020. E911, $1,651,525. Court awards, $84,650. Debt, $2,892,110. CHIP, CIP, $12,263,605. Bond, $9,584,715. Solid waste, $4,536,390. Civic Center, $82,070. Rental, $144,105. Radio DEPR, $148,480. Fleet, $556,100. Fleet Trust, $799,245. Self-insurance, $1,028,255. Health insurance, $3,568,835. And AEPFPTRSTS, $1,662,235, totaling $79,067,455.
Second.
John.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. For what it's worth, Bob is also my friend.
Let's get the shirts out.
Yeah. The proposed ordinance before you reflects all adjustments throughout the year and any adjustments required by our independent financial auditors. Basically, the ordinance represents year-end housekeeping and cleanup following the close of the fiscal year that just ended June of 2014, fiscal 2014. Glad to answer any questions you might have tonight.
I don't have any questions, sir.
Any questions?
I'm good.
Thank you, John. City Clerk?
There's no vote on that.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Galt, please.
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Revising Chapter 6, Alcoholic Beverages of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah, Kentucky." This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance will repeal and supersede certain portions of following ordinances. Chapter 6, Article 1, Section 6-4 allows NQ-2 licensees dining facility of a hotel, motel, and restaurant to have a minimum seating capacity of 50 people at tables. Section 6-5 allows underage persons in a licensed facility which receives 50% or more of their gross annual receipts from sale of food and has a minimum seating capacity of 50 people at tables. Chapter 6, Article 2, Section 6-33 requires the alcoholic beverage applicant to execute a form entitled Acknowledgement by ABC Applicant. And Section 6-40 1A allows two types of distillers license, Class A and Class B.
Second.
Okay. City Manager?
Thank you. Work is hot and heavy on the development of what I call our integrated solid waste management system plan to include curbside recycling. As well as on the back end, a process to solicit interest in the transfer station as that contract expires next spring, and also I believe what will be a recycling facility located in conjunction with the garbage facility, if you will, for the receiving and transportation of recyclables to market from Paducah. So there's a lot to that, obviously, but again, we're trying to pursue that in an integrated fashion to at least identify the opportunities for efficiency throughout that lie both in our own operations and in what we can take advantage of that exists in the private sector out there. I expect we're going to have one or two workshops with you on this as early as the next week or two. I wouldn't promise that it would start next week, but shortly thereafter, if not, at least for a first workshop. Importantly, our goal right now with the solicitation for the new transfer station and recycling facility services would be to have that ready to send out to interested parties by the 1st of January. So a lot of work is being made there. We need to fill in some blanks and touch bases back with you to get your reaction on certain aspects of that particularly affect the efficiency part of that on the front end that would impact our customers by virtue of the potential for change, as well as how folks particularly would participate in the recycling portion of it. So it's a lot of work, but it's very revealing in the sense of being able to address this from a total system point of view. It gives us the best shot of being both effective in the program outcomes and also efficient. Tomorrow, the Paducah Power Board meets at 1 o'clock to consider what is being entitled a rate recovery plan. So there should be some impact action-oriented items coming out of that. Last night, Mayor Kaler, Commissioner Rhodes, and I attended the fiscal court meeting to learn of the progress with respect to the animal shelter issue with the county. We were somewhat surprised to learn that a draft agreement had not been prepared in form for the fiscal court to consider as a whole. The city has not been an active part of the negotiations between the Humane Society and the fiscal court for some time, and I guess my sense was during that lapse that perhaps some sort of a draft would be brought together. That did not occur. However, a number of points that were probably cornerstone type points were brought forward and shared with the fiscal court for reaction, and there was not action taken to proceed with a contract based on what was in front of the fiscal court last night. The door was not closed to further negotiations. The door was opened to activity that is proposed to come forward from private interests, particularly in the fundraising area, leading up to the identification of an option for a new build facility that would be done at least in part through private monetary contributions. I assume the operation of that would be through the county. So altogether, this has taken a little bit of a twist from where the task force left it, in that the Humane Society negotiation was the #1 priority, and a new build was a secondary one. It appears now that we are going to be pursuing both simultaneously, so that at some point, I assume, both will be brought forward, or one or the other would be dismissed, and the other one perhaps considered for implementation. So what does this mean for the city? It means business, I guess, as usual, as far as our arrangement with the county in our intergovernmental agreement, and at least for the foreseeable future, the county animal shelter will continue to be the facility that will house the animals and from which the various services will be conducted. Importantly, from all indications, that facility is much better managed than it was in the past, and I think functionally is in better condition than it has been in the past, and I think it's important to recognize that, and that's a credit to the county and the people out there, as well as I think a large number of volunteers that contribute to that for the welfare of the animals there. So I can't really make a prediction on where we might be on this issue 3 months from now or 6 months from now, but it appears that we're looking at two options rather than one, and it does not appear as though the option with the Humane Society has been exhausted, but yet it's not yet to the point, if it ever might be, to meet the satisfaction of the fiscal court.
Question.
Sir.
I mean, that was a long explanation, and folks ask me all the time, what's the deal? I mean, what's the sticking point? Is it money? Is the county doesn't want to put in? You said negotiation, so where is it breaking down? I mean,
I think as a board member, the reluctance of the Humane Society to have a member of the fiscal court on the board was one, but what was the other?
So
euthanasia, the euthanasia policy.
I think where that one came out, and that was a major concern of the fiscal court, was the lack of agreement for a voting board member. The euthanasia policy, I think, was represented by Judge Newberry as being agreeable to the Humane Society, at least that which was taken to them by Mr. Newberry as representative of the fiscal court. There was pushback on that from people in attendance, and a lot of comments were made relative to the practice of euthanasia whatsoever. In other words, does it ever really need to occur? And invariably, at least in my opinion, that brings into question the capacity issue of a facility. No disrespect intended or throw cold water on any efforts to avoid that. All efforts should be made to avoid that, but I think statistically it's shown that it remains an option, at least in most locations. So one side doesn't want any animal euthanized at all.
The volunteers, I think, that attended that night.
Right.
But last night they were only supposed to vote on, not on a contract, but on going forward with looking at a contract.
Well, again, I think it was our expectation that there might have been a contract there. There was not a contract. There was a motion made.
Right.
I think that the effect of it would have been to proceed to
To work on the
work on that
details.
contract and put the details in there and bring it forward, but that motion failed.
Right.
But yet, comments were made after that the door is not closed, and I think in the newspaper this morning it was mentioned that representatives of the Humane Society had indicated that they're willing to continue to talk as well, so.
Well, that cleared that up.
Yeah.
I just want to say the election's over, and I'm excited to have each of you back here to work with for another 2 years and to make some good decisions that's going to move Paducah forward.
And I'd almost like to say it was nice not to have the mean-spirited negativism that all the other elections seem to have.
Well, if you don't have the big parties involved, we're nonpartisan.
Yes, thank goodness.
We requesting an executive session for economic development as well.
And when I said city manager, I was really referring to, I thought you were going to talk about the alcoholic beverage.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have anything you wanted to say on that?
I would defer to my deputy for that.
Okay.
There you go.
Do you have anything you want to say about the ordinance that we read?
Just basically the summary summarizes what we're going to be doing that was read. But what it is going to allow some things to happen is we've had some different businesses who wanted licenses, and they what they call a non-quota type license, which is restaurants and other facilities. They couldn't apply for those because before they had to have at least 100 people at tables. So we've had some hotels and motels who did not have a seating capacity of 100 people at tables that could not apply. Now we will be able to do that, and we have one hotel that I called today and let them know that this is going to be coming up. So it will, some of the mom and pop shops who are not as big as some of our chain restaurants will also have that ability to apply for licenses. So that's the main change. Mostly the language was just to be consistent with what the state licenses are. I mean, what the state statutes say, we wanted to keep our language consistent with ours and mirror everything. So that's what they changed the gross receipts. They changed it from gross annual income to gross receipts. It's just a change in terminology. They also allowed, we have what we've implemented here at the city, what's called an acknowledgement form by the ABC applicants. That is a form that says, I agree that I will not sell alcohol even though I have a state license until I have met certain criteria, which is to have an ABC license, to have a business license, your property taxes paid, your employee payroll set up, certificate of occupancy, and there's a few more things on that list. But they signed that form where before we just allowed them, we would tell them about it, and then there are some people who have tried to go ahead and sell and they weren't licensed by the city to do that. So now they have an acknowledgement form that they are signing saying, okay, we agree we are not going to sell until we have our, not only our state licenses, but our city license as well. And that's pretty much it.
Good idea.
Actually, aren't licenses hard to get? Aren't there so many that are sold?
Quota licenses, yes, that's true. We have quota licenses for package sales, which are your stores, convenience stores, and then we have so many that are called a quota retail by the drink license, and those are mostly for bars, which you would buy in bars and stuff, which have no requirements for selling of any food or any seating capacity. Those are quota licenses, and they are hard to come by. Matter of fact, I think we have maybe one in this area that's in dormancy.
Okay. Any comments, commissioners?
Good,
Okay.
it's good for the small restaurant owner who, can't have 100 tables. It's a boon for them. It's a good thing.
Okay, we have a couple of public comments tonight. Erin Moorhead, if you'd like to come forward. And she wants to speak about a drainage ditch, and you live on Maxfield Drive?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. Sadly, I've never met Bob. Okay, I'm just gonna, we have a drainage ditch problem in between my house and my neighbor's house. They're here, Billy and Ruthie Wiles. And I'm just gonna kind of go over the history about this ditch. My husband and I moved in to 246 Maxfield Drive in 2009. And in 2010, we noticed that when it rained, the ditch filled full. It would sometimes leak over to the side and come up to the house. So my husband came down to City Hall, personally spoke with someone. At that time, I don't know who the person's name is, but they said they would send someone out to look at the ditch, and no one came that we know of while we were there, and we never were contacted back about it again. In 2011, our bonus room on the back of our house flooded, which backs up our garage and bonus room are next to the ditch. We were home at the time, so there was no damage done. We used a wet vac and put the furniture up on 2x4s. We called City Hall to check on the status of the ditch, and they said they would send somebody out. 2012, 2013, at that time I had a 2- and 3-year-old, and the ditch was not a priority. So just recently, it filled up again. It didn't cause any damage to my home, but I called and spoke with Pam in the engineering department, and she put me on speaker with her and a Nathan Taylor, and they stated they would look at it and call me back. So that was on a Monday, October 27th. Then Monday, November 3rd, I left a voicemail because I hadn't heard anything back from Pam, letting her know that just to check and see if they were able to come out and what they found out. I left her voicemail, and I hadn't called back. That afternoon, I called back to speak with someone else, and I spoke with Angela Weeks, and she took down my information and stated she would get back with me in a couple days. On November the 7th, Friday, I attempted to call her. I left a voicemail, and she called me back, and she stated that the ditch was deemed for public use and that she was sending Brandy Topper, a street supervisor, out to look at the property and the ditch. So as of today, I haven't heard from anyone, and we really need help with the ditch. I'm just afraid it's going to cause damage to the home. It's very grown up. There's trees in the ditch that are several years old. There's a lot of brush, and it's beyond something, we can clean it out a little bit, but it's beyond what we're capable of doing. So I took some photos of the ditch. I brought those. I don't know if you all want to see them, but
Sure.
I just want to know if there's anything that anybody can help us with.
Well, absolutely. And we'll get on that.
Okay.
I'll pick up with this with Brandy Topper, and we'll be in touch with you tomorrow.
Okay.
Well, that's a beast. That's a jungle.
I mean,
That is.
Aaron, and where's the ditch again?
Well, it actually runs
In front of the house, back of the house?
side of the house, but it also runs in the back of my house. And it's, we live somewhat in front of the Mormon church.
Okay.
And it runs, we think, I looked over the weekend, and I think it is the only ditch in the back of the neighborhood. So all the water from up above us, which is the Mormon church, runs down to our ditch, and then all the water from Birch Street, which is behind us, runs down to the ditch.
Well, now that you've made us very aware of this, and the city manager will certainly look into this tomorrow, and we will get back with you.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
And I have your phone number here, too.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for coming by, and sorry that you had to come down to City Hall.
Thank you. There's that.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, we have Michael Johnston here today, and it's about a noise ordinance.
I was told that I have a few minutes, or 5 minutes, so This will take me about 3 minutes to
Okay.
read, so bear with me. My name is Michael Johnston. I'm 42-year resident of Lowertown, and I'm here tonight because I have a couple of issues with Warden Electric, which operates across the street from me. The first issue regards foul-smelling smoke coming from the premises due to burning plastic coating off of copper wiring in order to recycle copper. This is a foul smell coming into several of our homes within at least 1 block radius. One resident who lived directly behind Warden Electric would leave his home due to headaches due to smoke coming from his window into his windows. I was told to take the matter up with the EPA. When I contacted the EPA in Frankfort, Kentucky, Greg Flowers told me that this is illegal. I asked Deputy Fire Chief Greg Cherry if the city had to issue permits for these smokestacks, and he told me he wasn't sure, and he would get back to me by the end of the week. The second issue is the noise. It's a low-frequency noise emitting from an industrial-sized air compressor, which was mounted in April 2012. This compressor is mounted outside between Warden Electric's 2 buildings and Chester Mechanical. Warden Electric uses the air compressors to rewind motors. This air compressor continuously kicks on and off all throughout the day and can be heard in every square inch of my home, property, and beyond. I have heard this compressor run up to 27 minutes at a time before finally kicking off. I've had my sleep disturbed when employees work all night or part of the night when running the compressor. I've heard the noise from the compressor reach as far back as 8th Street, where Jim Nelson's used cars is. I've also heard it half a block away on Martin Luther King and Park Avenue. Everyone who lives directly in front of Warden Electric can hear the noise in our homes. John Warden, the owner, is well aware of the problem, and I've asked him repeatedly to soundproof the compressor. For 2 years, I've tried to work this problem out with John Warden through City Hall. Yard Inspector Harlan Brazier investigated the issue. Mr. Brazier told he took several readings with a decibel meter at the front of my property line and stated that John Warden was in compliance since the noise was just under 65 decibels. Mr. Brazier then told John Warden that he wasn't actually required to make any changes. In January 2013, an enclosure was placed around this compressor but made little difference. You cannot soundproof a low frequency with only a thin aluminum wall. In October 2013, a meeting was held at City Hall to try to resolve this issue. Several suggestions were made at this meeting, but I sensed that resolving the matter would not be easy. Even the simple suggestion of putting up an 8-foot solid fence was rejected by HARC. The reason being was that they may have issues if the structure could be seen from the street. Since October 2013, the meeting, any attempts to resolve this matter has been rejected by City Hall, including enclosing the area completely or removing the compressor inside the warehouse at Warden Electric. After talking to Chief Building Inspector Les Fugate, he informed me that John Warden is well aware of the problem, but is well within his rights. I responded to Mr. Fugate that according to the noise ordinance, said noises include but aren't limited to 65 decibels, that any noise that disturbs someone within ordinary sensibilities. I do not believe that anyone would be okay with hearing this noise all throughout their home and property, including sometimes having their sleep disturbed at night. I also don't see anywhere in the noise ordinance that a business such as Warden Electric would be considered municipal emergency work and be exempt from disturbing residents' sleep at night. In the past, I've called the police, and Warden Electric was made to turn the compressor off at night. The last time my sleep was disturbed, I called John Warden at home and at approximately 3:30 a.m. to complain after hearing the compressor run on and off for approximately an hour and a half. The last thing I have to say is that all I've ever asked for is my rights, which I'm entitled to. I have a right to be comfortable in my home and protect my property value. I don't see how John Warden could be well within his rights when residents' right to quiet enjoyment and clean air are being compromised by his operations. This is historic Lowertown. It's not impossible to soundproof the noise from the air compressor. Mr. Warden also owns a Murray location that is not surrounded by residents. He could easily haul the copper wiring to that location to burn the plastic coating off on the wiring without disturbing any residents. I understand the city wanting to be business friendly, but this is at residents' expense. I have the same rights as anyone else in their home. All I want to do is ask you city managers, 2.5 years, why this is still an issue. I just want this to be resolved. So,
Are you asking me that now, sir?
any of you. Yeah.
Of course,
Well,
that's the first time I've heard about it, so.
I can hear it in front of the home that you and your husband own. I can hear it there. No, sound. You can also smell the smoke over there in front of your home. So, yeah, it's a major issue.
I can certainly review the position of fire prevention on this. Clearly, we have a zone contiguous issue going on here. Those kind of things aren't unusual, quite frankly, but zoning law usually does cover what is permissible and what isn't. So I'm reluctant to say that the fire prevention department or the planning department is overlooking your rights. I think my sense what they're trying to do is persuade the owner to do something voluntarily to address your concerns. So I'll certainly look into it and, determine for my own satisfaction just where they're at on that. But when we talk about rights, that's usually where the city, falls out on something. We can't require somebody to do something that they are not in violation from. So I suppose the other thing that could be done is some sort of a review of exactly what the ordinance is that allows this, to see if there could be some modification to it. But
That's what they suggested to me.
What is your address?
It's 617 North 7th. And I have a disc here of videos and pictures I'd like to submit.
He's right across from Warden Electric, Sandra.
Okay. Yes. This is a problem that can be remedied, and that's all I'm asking. The noise, proper soundproofing.
Now this is a solid brick duplex, solid brick, and I can hear it. I can hear it on my side at 619. We own the house since '75.
Right. Well, we will certainly look into this, and we'll get back to you also.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we do have I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. No.
Did you have anything?
Well, I was just going to say, with the drainage situation and the overgrown ditch that's affecting the Moorheads, this issue with the noise, and we sometimes we don't hear about those things. But usually, if a resident is coming down here, it's because they haven't got a call back, and they've gone through the proper channels with no response, so they come before us. And I just think on the front side, it's important for whatever department, for our folks to get back in a reasonable amount of time, so that those folks that's having an issue can feel that they're being heard. I mean, because we don't have a whole lot of folks coming down here to complain about things. I mean, maybe it seems like it does, but it's not really. But typically, when they show up at the podium, they've exhausted what they feel that they can do, so they come to us. And sometimes that's kind of awkward, but it is what it is. So I just think we need to be a little bit more customer friendly and make sure that we're getting back to our folks in a timely manner.
Thank you all for coming.
Want these back? Or do you want to keep them?
Yeah. Can I hold on to those? Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we have an executive session tonight. Commissioner Rhodes, I think you have that.
Yes, I do. I move that the board go into a closed session for the discussion of matters pertaining to the following topics. A specific proposed by a business entity where public discussion of the subject matter would jeopardize the location, retention, expansion, or upgrading of a business entity as permitted by KRS 61-810LG.
Second.
City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Kayler?
Aye.
Happy birthday
Oh,
to you.
no.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mayor Kayler. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Very nice.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Or is it this way?